Hi, my name is Pinky Gupta, and today I'm going to teach you a topic which is a very important topic in biology session, which is a cell, the fundamental unit of life. And that topic is really important for you to understand, and it is very interesting as well. So let's get started. So today we will be discussing the cell, which is the basic unit of life, or it is also called the fundamental unit of life. So, before going to start, I want to ask you few questions about cell. So, understanding the cell, okay? Understanding the cell, we have something which comes up in our mind, that what is cell? The questions which comes in our mind, what is cell and how does it originate from, and what are the types of cells, how we can understand the clarity of the cell, and who discovered it, and how and where, which kind, which types, what are the sizes, wherever, and what is the building block. So there are so many questions which comes up in our mind after reading or understanding about the concept of cell. So let's get started. So cell is the very simple definition I would like to start with. So cell is called as the fundamental unit of life, or from the childhood we are learning, we are understanding about the cell topic, which is cell is called as the structural and functional unit of life. So before going into deeper concepts, so we'll go back to the cell organization. So how the organization happens inside the body, how the body made up. So if we are building something, we need a small base, that is the bricks, right? We need the bricks to build a very large buildings. So without bricks we cannot build some anything. Okay, so if we have something to do, we need to plan it and we need to go for it. So here also the same thing. So cell is the building block of our body. Cell is the building block of our body. So cell is also various types, which is unicellular, multicellular, prokaryotes, eukaryotes. Okay, so and under cell we are also going to learn about the different cell organelles present inside the cell and their functions and their sizes and their differences and how they are functioning. Okay, so everything we are going to learn, and that is very important. So after going to this, we have come up the discovery of the cell. So we have one question, that how the cell discovered, who discovered the cell and how they did it, right? So in the year of 1665, in the year of 1665, Robert Hooke, okay, he was a scientist and he discovered the cell. How? He has taken a thin slice of cork from the bark of a tree. He had taken a thin slice of cork from the bark of a tree and observed under the microscope. And observed under the microscope, he observed that the cell looks like a honeycomb like structure. Okay, he observed the cell looks like a honeycomb like structure, and that honeycomb like structure, if we see a single, it looks like a brick. somehow it looks like a brick, and one unit, it's also called as the unit. So that one unit, if we put more than one units, it will form as a multiple cells, right? So this all are clump of cells. So here we can see a clump of cells, right? So what do you think, how the cell is like, what are the shape of cell? So there are different shapes of cell, but what the Robert Hooke found was, sorry, what the Robert Hooke found was, it looks like somehow rectangular in shape, right? So the cells which he has taken from the bark of a tree, that looks like the rectangular in shape. So exactly the cells look like rectangular in shape. Okay, and he has seen, he has observed under this microscope. Got it? Now, after going to this, after we found out that the Robert Hooke discovered the cell, there are other so many scientists who also discovered something which is present inside the cell. So what are these? So in the year of 1674, Antony van Leeuwenhoek studied living for the first time. So the living thing, the living which lives, okay, so who discovered, the Antony van Leeuwenhoek discovered the living for the first time. So there is something which is living, which is moving, okay, which is living, which has the lifespan. Okay, so who discovered? Antony van Leeuwenhoek discovered. So after that, after the discovery of this cell, so there are one more scientist whose name was Robert Brown. Okay, so in 1831, Robert Brown discovered the named nucleus. So nucleus we also called as the center of the cell. Okay, we also called as the center of the cell. So in the year 1838 and 39, there is, this is very very important, which is called, also called as the cell theory, and Slyden and Swan formulated the cell theory. Okay, so in 1855, Rudolf Virchow stated omnicella e cella. So omnicella e cella means the cells comes from the pre-existing cells. So Rudolf Virchow in the year of 1855 discovered that the cells comes from this pre-existing cells. So what are the cell theory? Cells are a living thing. Yes, cells are living thing. Cells come from the pre-existing cells. Okay, so these are the cell theories given by the Slyden and the Swan. Okay, so these scientists who have discovered a whole lot of discoveries, which is about the cell. So how we can say that, how the cell is made up of, how the body or the organism's body is made up of? So we can say organism's body is made up of the single cellular or the multicellular. So there are prokaryotes. So you should know the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes, that prokaryotes is made up of a single cell, okay, and the eukaryotes is made up of a multicellular cell. So if if it is present more than one, if the cell is present in an organism more than one, then it comes in the multicellular organism. If it is a single cell, it comes in the unicellular organism. So previous, we can see that we can give one example, which is a mycoplasma. So mycoplasma is the unicellular organism, and in eukaryotes it is a complex structure. So we can give a human being is a eukaryotic multicellular organisms. Okay, so see, these are the breaks. Okay, see, these are the cells, so different varieties of cells. After that we'll go for the different shape and sizes of the cells. So do you think, how do you think, where the scientist would have seen all those structures? So they had seen under the microscope. Okay, so under the microscope there are uh, different types. Okay, SEM, TEM, transmission electron microscope, then scanning electron microscope. So there are different ranges, in which ranges we can see the different structures of the cells. Okay, right? So now talk about the shape and sizes. So we know that in our body there are different cells which is present inside our body and have the different sizes. Like for example, if I am taking the RBC, so can you just think that RBC and nerve cell are totally different cells, and both have different functions, because nerve cell cannot function like RBC and RBC cannot function like nerve cells, right? So these are the red blood cells. These are the red blood cells and these are the nerve cells. So nerve cells, what are the function of both of the things? Nerve cells, it transfer the neurotransmitters from the dendron to the axon, and it that's how all the neurotransmitters passes from one area to the other inside our body. Okay, same like these guard cells. So it's present in the plant, like paramecium, diatoms, muscle cells. There are so many different shape and size of cells, and with have different functions. So here we can see, just now I discussed the light microscope and the electron microscope. So under the electron microscope, what are the things you can see? You can see the small molecules, okay, the lipids which is present in the where plasma membrane, proteins, T2phage, chloroplast, and most of the bacterias, and few things you can see it is present in the electron microscope as well as the light microscope. Means we can observe this chloroplast and bacteria and these plants and animal cells under both the microscopes, in light microscope as well as in electron microscope. Okay, so there are different ranges. So this is how we will get to know about the these molecules or cells or different varieties which is present in the living organisms. So coming unto to the mammalian cells, so see, it is the fish egg, okay, unaided eye. So the things which we can see through our naked eyes, fish egg we can see, hummingbird, okay, humans, blue whales, and California redwood. This is we can see under the unaided eyes. So they have so higher ranges, right? Okay. So coming up the differences of the unicellular and the multicellular. So just now I said that unicellular, uni means what? Uni means single, cellular means cell. So single cell which is able to perform the life processes like obtaining food, respiration, excretion, growth and reproduction, and it cannot be divided into cells as they are a acellular organism. So these are the single cells and it cannot multiply. It cannot multiply like amoeba and paramecium. So it has the single cells, whereas the multicellular has many number of cells and it has a base basic similar structure and basic similar life activities. So it has a different shape and form and to form the different tissues, and it can multiply and see all the cellular organization comes in multicellular because it is dividing. Okay, so multiple number of cells forms a tissue, multiple number of tissues forms organs, multiple organs forms organ system, and whole organ system forms a human body. So for example, plants, animals as well as fungi. So cell is the basic unit of life. So right now we got it why cell is called as the structure and function unit of life, because without cell we cannot build any cellular organization. Without cell, tissue will not form. Without tissue, organs will not form. Without the organ, whole organ system will not form, and hence we wouldn't have come here. So this is the very simple basic concept. Okay, so now coming into process, like after get to know about the cell, there are a whole lot of cell how it is made up of. So it is made up of the plasma membrane, it is made up of, there are so many layers. Okay, plasma membrane, then cytoplasm, and then nucleus. So nucleus is the center part, which is also called as the center of the cell, and the plasma membrane, which helps to regulate the important molecules inside and outside the cell, and cytoplasm, which helps the metabolic process which happens inside the cell. So plasma membrane, so talking about the plasma membrane, it is the membrane which is fluid like nature. So it is moving. So plasma means what? Plasma, it's like moving like structure. So it it flew, so it has a certain substance in it, and that's why because of certain substance, it plasma membrane itself show a selectively permeable membrane. So it is made up of bilipid layer, yes, and proteins and integrated protein. So integrated protein is very important inside and outside the plasma membrane, and there are the carbohydrates, the glycoproteins, glycolipids, which is attached to the plasma membrane. And plasma membrane we also called as the fluid mosaic model, we also called as the fluid mosaic model. And how it function, for what process it do, it it relates to the osmosis and diffusion process inside the cell, and it helps to transport the components or the molecules, the important molecules, which is very useful for the cell. And it has like important function for the like mechanical barrier. It always helps for the mechanical barrier. Then endocytosis, exocytosis, there are so many process functions which plasma membrane does. So see the structure. So this is the representation why we draw like this, because it looks nice actually, that's why we draw like this. But if we see under the microscope, we can see like this. So the plasma membrane exactly looks like this, not like this. So how it helps? So it helps plasma membrane helpful for the transportation of the molecules from different solutions. So it depends, it is solute or solvent. So I will talk about this in osmosis. Okay, so there are so many like permeable, impermeable. Permeable means which can easily pass. Okay, the molecules can easily pass from solute to the solvent. Then impermeable, which is the membrane is not allowing the molecule to pass through, that is the impermeable. And the semi permeable, membrane permeable to solvent but prevents solute passage. Okay, so it always allows for the solvent to move but inhibits the solute passage. And selectively permeable, it allows only the selective molecule to pass from one solution to the other solution. So there is impermeable, there is semi permeable, there is permeable, and there is selectively permeable. So all the things plasma membrane do while transporting the molecules. So active and passive transport. What is active and passive transport? So the substance which passes the membrane with consuming ATP, that is the active transport, while transporting the molecule from one solution to the other solution, it needs some energy. So if the energy they get like ATP, so ATP in the form of energy which is present inside the cell, so that energy they'll get, and that is called as active transport. And passive transport, without the ATP, okay, without consuming any energy they can transfer, so that is the passive transport. Okay, so active transport, how it happens, it is different types. Okay, this is uniport, symport. Okay, uniport only from one direction, symport means both the direction, it can come, it can go. Okay, and antiport means symport means from the same direction, and antiport means it can come and it can go. So it will be like this, one is going here and one is coming this side. And in symport, both the molecules coming in this way, in the same direction. So in the uniport, only single direction, either it is outside or inside. And symport, both things are coming in the same direction. And antiport is the indirectly, so it is one is going inside and one is coming, one is going outside and one is coming inside. So this is types of the active transport. And what about the passive transport? Passive transport is of two types, which is diffusion and osmosis. So diffusion and osmosis, it's very unknown, very known, sorry, very known and very familiar, because we are understanding and we are learning from the since the childhood we are learning. So how will differentiate the diffusion and the osmosis? Diffusion is the process of the movement of the substance from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through the till it spread uniformly is the given space is called diffusion. So should be it should be what, it should spread uniformly. So both the solution, both the substances, the process of the movement of the substances, either it is liquid, either it is solid or gaseous form, or both, all the three should have its uniformly concentrated. So all the substances should spread uniformly. Okay, equal amount. And importance of diffusion, it is like it helps in spread of different substances throughout cytoplasm of the cell. Okay, and it helps in exchange of respiratory gases, like um, the amount of carbon dioxide we are excreting and amount of oxygen we are taking, so that is also called diffusion, exchanges of gases. And transpiration, which happens in plants, basically it's also a diffusion process, and exchange of gases inside the human or the plant or the respiratory process is also one of the example of the diffusion. So now coming back to the osmosis. So osmosis is like from high concentration to a low concentration through permeable. So wherever the concentration is high, it will move from higher concentration to the lower concentration. So that is called as the osmosis. Simple word, higher concentration to the lower concentration through the semi-permeable membrane. Okay, and plasma membrane functions as a semi-permeable membrane. So how diffusion differs from the osmosis? How diffusion differs from the osmosis? So till here I will finish it off, and after this my next class will be in the next session. Okay, so diffusion is like it can take place in solid, liquid and gases. So it can take place in solid, liquid and gases in all the form, and it does not involve any semi-permeable membrane. So whatever the amount is going outside, the same amount is coming inside. So there won't be any semi-permeable membrane. So it equalizes the concentration of the substance. So it equalizes, both the solution have same amount of concentration or same amount of substance present inside the solution. So different substances diffuse independently of one another, and diffusion is not much influenced by the presence of other substances. So whatever the substances is present inside the solution, that is not influenced by the diffusion. So diffusion won't get influence if other substance also present, because it maintains the equalization from both the solution. And what about osmosis? Osmosis is totally opposite. Osmosis requires plasma membrane, okay, to pass through, and it always pass from higher concentration to lower concentration, and it requires plasma membrane, and it does not equalize the substance present in the solution, and only the solvent undergoes diffusion. So here only, not solute, only solvent undergoes diffusion. So it is influenced by the concentration and type of solid particles. So it easily get influenced through the other particles present inside the solution. So here we have discussed about the discovery of the cell, the definition of the cell, and the cell theory, and the types of the cell, its sizes, and the starting point is plasma membrane, types of plasma membrane, how plasma membrane works. So this all things we have discussed in this first class. Now the rest of part, I think, yeah, types of osmotic solution, types of osmosis, cell wall, role of cell wall, nucleus made up of, then what are the things, nuclear pore diagram, chromosome, cytoplasm, Golgi, then all cell organelles. It's whole bunch of thing. Now it is finished. Yes, so this is how we have done. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment box. So till then, thank you and bye bye.